I'm going to skip that one. One of the most important places where you pitch your game, where you communicate the idea of your game or your feature or your software, that is to people who have money. Because with no money, there is no, it's all focused on games here because that's what I'm used to working with, but same goes for apps or any kind of software that has a user interface, right? And there isn't some back-end weird thing you just plug in, right? And it's all about these things. You pitch things like this to publishers, people who want to take a software and have some kind of distribution network and put vertical integration on there. They often want to be, if you have a game, if you have an app, if they can see that this is going somewhere, this is an interesting company, if they like you, they'd often look for vertical integration. That means they want to be part of the whole value chain. We'll get back to value chain later, what that means in a later lecture. But what we're talking about is that from taking raw material and they're refining that into something that you sell to a consumer. There can be a lot of steps on that way. And for software, you normally have it could be somebody who has an idea, and then you go to a developer, and then the developer makes that, and you have a publisher, and the publisher has a distributor, and the distributor gets distributed to the retailer, and the retailer sells it to whoever. It's a lot of middlemen or entrepreneurs. And the thing is, a publisher will often want a vertical integration, so they own. If they can see that you're a new, fresh developer, but they see potential, they might want to own the company. Okay, it's sort of venture capitalist. Different kinds of investors just come up with money, and these investors are different. Venture capitalists, they will want to. That's somebody who's gotten money from someone, and they're looking around for a good place to put that money so it grows and they get return on investment. They will typically have a portfolio with some things that are safe, like oil, fish here and all, right? That's safe. Well, it used to be up until a couple of months ago. And then they'll have some high risk parts of the portfolio. That's some companies that they're almost guaranteed to work, right? But sometimes in that kind of environment, you have to put a lot of money in to get a lot and then a little more on top, back out again. But then they want some risky stuff. And that's where typically games come in. Apps could be there depending on who's financing. What's your market? If your market is, government, or you're talking about kindergartens, if that's something that get acceptance with all kindergartens, that's fantastic. But there's a lot of effort you have to put in there compared to selling it to parents, right? So where's the market? Where's the interest? So a venture capitalist will look at where can I, get most return for my money? They'll typically look at strategies that goes over a long time, and then say, it looks like the media market is undervalued. So I'm going to put some money in there, and that's going to be more valued over the course of 2, 3, 4, 5. Sometimes they have 10-year plans, and they're going to say that in 5 years, this will have grown to maybe 10 times. And we have a typical game company, only 1 in 20 game companies that release a product, and that's only a fraction of the game companies that get funded and will actually make a profit. Any profit, break even and more. That means it's a very risky business. But a venture capitalist will say if they have belief in this particular area, they'll fund 40. That means somebody will be successful. The ones that will be successful will pay for all the ones that are unsuccessful. So that's what they do. Problem is that the moment they reach that point in time where they have foreseen that media is going to be worth 10 times it used to be, they want to exit. They want to get their money back. It doesn't matter if you're not finished with your thing. If you're not finished with your thing and you say, oh, we only need 1 more year, they'll say, you're one of those 19 that didn't make it. Not because you couldn't make it, but because we need our money now. We're going to put it into French fries because we see French fries going on up and up. The money doesn't have any interest in what you're making. It's only the money goes in and the money goes out.
With
so
interest.
It's
with an interest.
With an interest, big interest. They want 10 times return, 5 times return. Big interest because it's a risky business, right? So venture capitalists, they don't care what you're making. They just think that this is a good present market, and you have to know that. That means they're not going to bother you with oh, we really think that this thing should go over here, or oh, why don't you have dragons in your game? They don't care. So that's good. But what's bad is they want their money back at this particular point in time, and if you can't deliver, that's it. They'll cut your company up and sell it to scraps. Business angels. That's people who have money and want to invest in something to make their money grow, but they couldn't put it anywhere. But they, for some reason, decided that maybe you are interested. If you get to a person who's an investor, and that person will, fund your company, typically a bit more interested in what you're doing. Typically a bit more sort of into, okay, hey, why is this green? I think there should be dragons in your game. And the thing with, you're going to have to invest some time with a business angel to make sure that they don't fuck up your things. Or if they're, or to placate them. Sure, can be dragons, no problem, sir. That's good. Dragons it is. That's fine. But that's a different way of managing. They can also, they've put a lot of sort of personal interest into your particular company because they believe in you and your product, and they have, and maybe it's even good for them to be able to say dragons, because then when you say, we need one more year, they can say, well, it does have my dragons in it, and I would like them to, to fly, to see them fly. So it's okay. Different way of managing them. This is mom and dad. A lot of people who make games, at least, a lot of people who do basically any kind of business, you'll go to venture capitalists don't want you, business agents don't want you, so you go to mom and dad and say, I have this fantastic idea. Mom and dad, won't you help me out? And that's fine. They probably have paid the mortgage on their house. It doesn't matter. And they're probably old. So if they live on the streets 10 years from now, okay. that's up to your morality if you can do that. But you risking mom and dad come true. But that could also mean, thing is, even mom and dad, mom and dad, it could be friends, could be some uncle, but they deserve to get their money back as well. I have a cousin who got mom and dad money. It was actually from his sister to make his what do you call that, offset and printing company going. He worked there really, really hard, day and night, 10 years. And in the end, he had tremendous success. The return on investment was 20-fold, right? But his sister then said, I gave you 100,000. I would like my million now. And he wasn't so happy about that. He should be. Because if it wasn't for her, he wouldn't fucking have a company. And you have to think about that. Somebody else risks a lot of money for your dreams. You only have a dream. So be aware. You should, be happy to pay people back what they're asking from you. So just say, but a lot of people, don't want that. A lot of publishers will ask for, okay, we'll give you the money, but we want the IP, we want the intellectual property, we want to own, Mickey Mouse that you made. No, Mickey Mouse, he's my, I made him, he's my brainchild. How can you own him? Don't worry, you'll think of something else. You'll think of Donald Duck the next time. So it doesn't matter. He can own Mickey Mouse because he paid for it. Okay? This is just how things work. If you say yes, you can have Mickey Mouse, then you get to make Mickey Mouse. If not, you're just sitting in your mom's basement not making Mickey Mouse. I think we can all see which one's better. The next time, after you made Mickey Mouse, everybody see Mickey Mouse and say, oh, it's fantastic. I got this new character, Donald Duck. You can make a lot of more, you can get a much better deal for Donald Duck than you get for Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse, you feel like you're kind of ripped off. they're not going to rip you off with Donald Duck because everybody knows this is going to be huge. So you get a lot of money. Okay? That's not what I wanted to do. Let's see. Okay. You can get grants. In Norway, there's a fantastic chances for you to get money that doesn't bother you. And that don't even ask for their money back half the time. Norwegian Film Fund, if you're making a game, it's not very relevant for you because you're making an education game, and well, maybe for you guys. Education game not so much. But if you're not making an education game, they'll give you money up to 75% of what the development costs are, and they'll not ask for anything back, except that you put the little sticker here, virtual sticker saying, yeah, if I gave you this money. It's a fantastic deal. And EU media, I think maybe they're going through some changes now, so I can't guarantee, but they used to be able to give you also a lot of money that didn't compete with NFI. NFI can only give you up to 50 or 75%, depending on what kind of production you're making, but the rest cannot be other grants, except they can be national grants. They can be grants from non sort of supranational, is that what they call it? Supranational grants. So it's grants that are from the Nordic Film Fund, which is pan-Nordic, or from the EU Media Fund, which is pan-European. So you can actually get the whole thing funded just with grants and not have to pay anything back. It's a pretty sweet deal. A lot in US, nothing like that. Lots of countries in the world, you don't have that. So that offsets a lot of the costs you'll have in Norway. First, that's just an example of a local media fund. There's half private and half government. So government, or the local government, puts in half the money, and it's matched by private investors. Also, they're a bit sort of in between NFI and venture capital, I suppose, because they want the money back, but they're pretty nice about it. And also, right now, the local media funds they don't have enough money to get all the to match all the private investors. So we have a pretty good environment right now. So there are some private investors trying to get into these funds, but they're not, and they can be approached on the side. Right? You can make deals with them on the side. So crowdfunding is all big. I'm not going to go into the huge thing. Kickstarter, Indiegogo, lots of things happening there. It's going directly to the consumer. The one thing I'm going to say is does everybody know what crowdfunding is? What happens? There's a lot of nodding. If nobody shakes their head now, I'm going to go and explain more, but no, so I'm not. I'm going to say that what you want, it's very important that you show something and that you have rewards that people get back for funding. They're actually giving you money. But the one point, that reward tier that's most interesting, most people donate, that's the reward tier where they get a copy of your product, whether it's a game or a USB key or whatever for or it's it's an iPad app download. That's the tier where you're going to get the most donations. So make sure that's priced reasonably. That's the good point, right? Still don't want to do that. And then there's, of course, never been easier to self-publish. You can go on Steam Greenlight. If people like what they see, again, you need prototype. You need a good pitch. You need to sell it to people. People want to see. You want to sell them a dream, and they want to see that dream come true. And they will say, yes, we want this. And then you can just put your game. Have to finance it somehow, but you only eat noodles for a year, and then put it on Steam, and Steam will distribute it throughout the world. It's a fantastic platform, and they will only take 30% off. which is a much better deal than if you have to go through the whole value chain I talked about, which I'll get back to. Don't worry. App Store, same thing. You get a stamp of approval, sell your app, and it's never been easier than it is right now to get things from an idea into the hands of consumers. The only thing is, they'll have to find you, have to sift through all the other people, because everybody else is also doing it. So you're competing with other people in the same situation as you. But physically getting it sort of, or getting it on a storefront is not a problem right now. They all expect you, however, to be professional. Even if you love Star Wars, you cannot just show your love for Star Wars the way you feel, okay? You need relevant education. You need to show them earlier finished projects. You need to show them that this is something we can do. They have to look at your project and you say, okay, you'll be finished within two years, and they can see other projects that are similar also been done within 2 years. And a business plan, which we're going to get back to. We're going to have a whole, or most of, a lecture about that. How do you show investors, how do you show people with money that this is viable? Even your fans on the Kickstarter will want to see some kind of, how are you going to get money from this? And looking and acting professional. If, depending on who I go to, if I go to NFI, I could totally go like this. If I was going to Fuzz, I'd put my suit on. It depends who you're talking to. But you have to be someone they can see giving 2 million of their money into the hand and not asking very many questions, because these aren't very many questions. And that's how you have to deal with it. There was a Dragon's Den, which is sort of a dress rehearsal for going to pitching events at a thing called Console last year, and so people would come up and pitch their game to investors, and they would give them feedback. And there was one group who would come up and they would have their long black hair and their black metal T-shirts on, and their boots and their nails, and go, oh yeah, it's a game. It's about, killing people with axes, and yeah, well, you'll see for yourself. That's not the way you do it. That's the way you can show it that way to a black metal band that you want to make the music for your game. It's fantastic. Yeah, oh, they grim like us. Yeah, we'll make the game. We'll make the music. That's fine. But not to people who's sitting there and they're asking them to put 5 million kroner into their game. Wearing suits. If they didn't wear suits, maybe, but it's about that. So what is a pitch? You ask, what's a pitch? Pitch. It's something that contains the essence of your software idea. It's for people who wear suits and have money. Today it would be me. But the focus is explaining why investing in this game is a good idea. And that depends who's investing in your game. If NFI is investing in your game, then they want it to be a cultural product that they can be proud of. Doesn't matter if it's critically panned or nobody buys it, but if it's a cultural product that stands on its own, it does something that feels really Norwegian, then they're happy. If it's Ubisoft, they want something that sells. If it's Innovation Norway, they want something. They're mandated giving money to people who make something technologically or organizationally innovative. So they want to see something new, something that's research, something that hasn't been done before. It doesn't matter if maybe it doesn't sell so much, but there has to be something new. If you just say, we're just going to make the same old thing, just better and cheaper, they're not going to be that interested. You'd want to sell it with something that's a bit more new and exciting. So, and the goal is to make it easy for a publisher or another person who's meant to decide whether this fits their portfolio. Typical game, again, I'm drawing from games here, but a typical game publisher, much like the people who sell tobacco. they will have a portfolio. If you sell soft drinks or if you sell tobacco, you want something for the housewife, you want something for the kids, you want something for males. You want to cover everyone, so that when somebody gets in a, you know, when a Quickie Mart gets a deal with you, you can say, okay, but you only sell our sodas in your dispensers. But there's one that, you know, has a lemon flavor, there's one that's cola type, and there's one that has orange flavor, and there's one that's water, right? So you have everything. It's kind of similar with a game publisher, and sometimes often with a software publisher, if they're making office software, for instance. If you have a fantastic spreadsheet, but you don't have a word processor, it's like, oh, yeah, we sort of need everything, right? And if you don't have it, if you can see that, okay, they have fantastic word processor, fantastic sort of presentation software, you really need a spreadsheet. You go there and say, hey, we have the spreadsheet, it fits your portfolio. That integration with the other programs you have fits their portfolio. So you have to think about who are you approaching? What kind of publisher are you approaching with this? And also in games, what often happens if you get as far as talking to somebody who is a doorkeeper, who can let you in and talk to people who matter. Even if they don't want your game, they can say, we don't want your game, but you should talk to, Ubisoft don't want your game, but talk to EA. They're made out to be sort of enemies, but they're often not. They're often, they know that if they send, a decent game over to the competitor will send a decent game over to them. And all these people who are gatekeepers know each other, right? Because they're competing for the same games, and they can't afford to be enemies. And you shouldn't make enemies of them, even though they treat us like shit. I hate them. Be careful with that. And so a picture answers questions. Typical. Again, I'm going to go with games, but this can be. You have to go and do a little work and retrofit it to your projects, right? The genre. If you're making a game, then you want to say really quickly. I have seen so many game design documents saying, it's a game where you're a warrior and you fight dragons and you tear out their hearts and use their hearts to make huge magic that makes you stronger. And keep on going with different types of dragons, with weapons you use, and the magic you weave from their rotten carcasses, and I don't know what. And it's like, okay, sure, but what kind of game is it? Is it a first-person game? You look through the character's eyes. Is it a top-down game? Is it a role-playing game where you play a lot of guys and you move them around? Oh, of course it's a role-playing game. You didn't say that. You have to say that right away. The first thing you say is, so if you're making a health app, you should say, what health app? It's a health app for, what was the device again?
The wellness key.
For the wellness key. And it should be a picture of a wellness key, because a wellness key is not well known. It's not something that everybody knows what it is. Whereas a DS, Nintendo DS, everybody knows, many people will know what that is, so you don't have to put that up. So, and you say it's iPad app. That's it. What's your project now? How do you redefine it? It is SQL teaching game on
web.
And is it how's it made? Is it text based? Is it you click things? How do you make it? Should define that genre. It's a game. Okay, so let's say maybe it's a gamified textbook. Gamified interactive textbook, maybe. Trying to limit it into something that people can see in their heads is super important. You guys, you have an iPad app for preschoolers, or let's say interactive cashier.
Play shop.
Okay, you have to just boil it down to something. Is it some kind of genre? If it isn't a genre, then you have to do something to explain so that people can see it in their heads right away. if people have to like, if I'm wondering, you know, see it from the first person or the third person, is it turn-based? I don't know. Before that should be the first thing they understand, how you interact with it. So what? Is it cooperative? Is it a virtual wallet? Try to find that. If it isn't the genre, if you have to, you know, make a new genre, at least make it so that you can see it in your head right away. That's establishing your software relative to other software. You place it in tradition. Even if you're making a word processor, you can say it's a word processor. You know, just like we work with like Word and OpenOffice, and but we're making it much more intuitive by making it tied to paper notes. The paper notes that you move around, you pick concepts on each one. Okay, so okay, but you want to place it in tradition. You have to know the competition, because if you're like you said, like say you're selling an RPG game, you have to know that there are RPGs out there already, and things like Mass Effect exists, is a thing. The Witcher is a series, it's a thing, and that things like Final Fantasy exist is a thing. So, and where do you place yourself relative to that? You have to say, same as you have different kinds of email software. If you're making that, place yourself so that, oh, I can see it fills sort of a gap. It's not as easy to use as this one, but it's cheaper, and it's not as complex as really, really expensive other thing. Place yourself, and also, what's new about it? What does it do that other competing parties doesn't do? And that is a major deciding factor for somebody who's going to put in money in your thing. And I like having a tagline like that is often quite useful. Anybody can guess what movie was got funded by being pitched in this way? It's like Jaws in space.
Alien.
Right. And what if I say this doesn't exist, but what if it's Halo done by Tarantino? What game could that be?
That's the title. I don't know.
Huh? There's a war, maybe. It's kind of rough around the edges, tough. I'm sure. It's debatable. I'm not saying it's. You have to put the gameplay or the benefit. What are people doing? Oh, that's not so good. All right. Move these around. Oops. Yes. So you want to say couple of things. What does the player or the user experience? Feel like fighting the terminal, fighting the terminal. You have to find some experience that you can say, it's like this. This is what you experience. It's also important to say, what do you do? And that is her, not that guy, but her. What does she do? What does the player do? There's a difference between a player and an avatar. What do I physically do? For you guys, it's like you're not selling and buying things as a player. You're touching, you're interacting with the tablet, moving, learning to use all the different sort of interactions. You're going to teach them how to zoom with it. Is that one of the benefits? I don't know. Are you going to teach them how to slide and tap and do that, properly? Maybe it is. That's what you explain. But you also have to say what happens on the screen. And there is where a demo, a mock-up, a prototype really, really helps. Show them. Yeah, okay, well, what happens on the screen? This. And you press a button and they see it, and it's like, oh, okay. It's super strong. It's really what sells. I don't have numbers for it, but it sells. It really sells in the mind of whoever is making the decision, is when they can see exactly what you envision. And it doesn't have to be interactive. It doesn't have to be finished. It doesn't have to be everything from A to B, A to Z, sorry. It has to be something that gives a clear vision, right? And also you have to say, why is that awesome? Why is it awesome that you can learn SQL in this way, gamified? Why is that fantastic? Why is it great that they learn what money's worth and how it, they have very different profiles? I don't know. Why is it fantastic that people can now, have the gamified? I don't know. You have to find that thing that sort of really sells it though. What is that? What is the gamification that really makes it interesting to work out now? How is it going to bring new people into the fold? How is it going to motivate people in a completely new way? You have to know and say that in one sentence. The technology, what technology you're using, super important again. People want to know about the wellness kit and what it can do, what are the limitations of it, and why it's a great product. People will want to know that it's on the iPad. And if it's not on the Android, or if it is, why is it? People want to know exactly why you've chosen the technology you have, but also want to know what technology you're using to build it. If you, for instance, making a game, you say, well, we're making an indie game and we're building our own tools, we're building our own engine, they're going to go like, oh, there's so many good engines out there. Why would you want to do that? And then you have to have the answer, because none of the engines does this. Press a button and see it, and they go, whoa, okay, we understand now. If you can't do that, you'll have to say we're using these tools because they're efficient, these tools because they're cheap, and this tool because it can do what no other tool can do. Explain the technology. Show the people who are coming with their money, giving you their time. And that's a point I haven't made yet, but it's super important. When you get to talk to people, if you get to talk to a venture capitalist, that person you're talking to, by giving you 10 minutes of his or her time, they're potentially missing out on a great opportunity that will cost, every minute of your time costs thousands of dollars. So even just talking to them is them giving you a huge gift. We may not like it. I'm a socialist myself. I don't like people throwing that much money around. I don't like that some people have billions and other people have to starve to get $1 a day. But that's not the point. The point is that the time of these people is super expensive in the market economy in which we have to live, and we have to be sort of respectful of that time.
Something to contribute to that.
Mm-hmm.
If people wants to know that exact thing about not wasting the time of the venture capitalists or doing that, there is something called FOMO. There is the fear of missing out.
Mm-hmm.
This is explained in a podcast called Startup. Just check it out. This guy actually pitched Chris Sacca, which is the founder, first investor of Twitter, and he has invested in Instagram and many other startups. At the moment, they were startups. So that's a great podcast. In that, the specific first episode explains you like
maybe we could you post it on Fronter?
Sure.
That's possible, isn't it?
Sure.
Yeah, because that'd be cool to see. The point is, these people are already giving you a huge benefit of just listening to you. So use that time wisely. Don't have something you threw together on the train on the way there. Spend days fixing it, because that's the thing that's going to decide whether you're getting funding or not. Whether even if they say, well, it's not for us, not right now, they still have a good impression of you. So the next time somebody says, oh, this team, they have something, they'll listen to you again. It says, they just totally wasted like 20 minutes of my time last time. It's not going to happen. And you want to know that the platform and the target audience match. You're safe. The pad, kids use the pad. If I had a friend of mine who doesn't have kids, posted a thing that the iPad is it's no longer a must-have item, and it's a flop. It was this article, because it doesn't it's not really it's not a phone, but it isn't a PC either. You can't really work on it. And he said, you obviously don't have kids, because my kids, they can't. If I give them this computer, they can't do anything. If I install Linux on it, my wife can't do anything with it. So you have to think about what's the target audience for this, and that it matches. So PC game different from an iPad game, different from an iPad app, different from an Android app. Even though seems similar, but different people buy these different devices. And also, people want to know, do you have experience with working with that platform? If not, you should do some things. You should do the easy version, the simple version, not the most complicated ones, using all the features. I mean, for you, if one of you or several of you have made iPad apps before, be a little adventurous. If you haven't, don't use both the gyro and the camera and everything. Just make something that works on a touch screen, because that's what the kids will interact with the most. Okay. And tools, yes, as I said, making our own engine is not what the publisher wants to hear from a fresh studio. And controllers, because that sort of goes in with the wellness key. Dedicated controllers used to be a no-no for games. This is different, but for games, but that was until Guitar Hero sold 1 million units in a week. It was like, oh, we want to make a game with a gun. Dedicated controllers, nobody wants that. And then Guitar Hero came, and it was just smashing. That means, but that's disruptive, right? That's doing something else. We're doing something. It's integral to the experience, and we're making pretty darn sure nobody's going to pirate this game because we need this, right? So doing something very innovative, and I think a lot of these people you're going to talk to are going to be risk adverse. A lot of them are not going to be creative people. They're not going to be innovative people, but that's why they're looking for you. They're looking for you because if they could provide it themselves, why would they want to talk to you? You want to know who the user is. You want to present an age group, and don't say everyone. Don't make it broad. That's the worst thing I ever do. Oh, from everyone from 9 to 99. Okay, are you saying that my old demented grandfather is going to play it, and my cousin of 9 is going to play it? Well, maybe not your grandfather. And 9 it's a bit more complex. And don't say it. You have an idea of, who it is. I could go on with this for hours, but I'm not going to. But this is, I think, a friend of mine who works at Every, not over there, but in Bergen. He has this technique that I think is very good. Because you ask your customer, okay, what's the target audience? And they say, well, everyone. Or they say, maybe, oh, it's managers, but also middle managers could want it, and also some of the employees that are very tech savvy, they want to use it, and also stop that. You know what? Okay, so what he says is, imagine your ideal user, your typical user, in his or her typical work situation. How are they using it? Who is it? What do we see? And that often really helps, because then they say it's only one person, so it can't be everyone. Okay, he's 35. He's software engineer. He puts bits and bytes into databases. Okay, good. Now we have someone. That's the focus. That's the core. So finding that one typical user, instead of saying, a lot of people have problems with finding a sort of a target audience because they make it much too broad. Just say, what's the typical user? The one person. You can even go into personas, which I'm not going to go here, but that's just making a handful of persons who are likely to use it. So, and put your names. This is Sarah. She's 28. She's works at Rimi, and she has a dog. Okay, how would she use this app? How is that different from Trevor, who's 2 years old and really likes smashing things with hammers? Okay, quite different. Okay, can you then say that our app is going to be used for everyone from 2 to 28? Maybe not. But it really helps. Just making it concrete, and that's concrete. Making things concrete. That's half of what this is about. hardcore, casual, and I'm not going to say much about that, but social setting is pretty important, even with software. Is it alone? Is it online? Is it with your family? Is it in a gym? Is it in the kindergarten? Is it with friends? Competing to get the highest score, or is it alone, being really sad that you failed the SQL class? You have to define this. Okay, style. What does it look like? The graphical style is important. Very small. It's inspired with comics, film, oil paintings, and it's the sound. Sound of music is going to have a huge impact. Even if just how it's great. If you move a piece of money across the counter, is a crackling sound of paper or not? That sort of tactile feel is going to make a huge difference between if the kids feel like this is a great app or it sucks. And they're not going to say anything more than it's great or it sucks, because they're not usability experts, except for kids of their age. And yeah, this is more for established universe. I'm not going to skip this because it's not part of stories and characters and conflicts. It's not part of any of your projects. Just gonna show some nice character arts that I have. But this is important. How will people buy it? And this is probably, if you've done a poor job on everything else, and you come to investor, please have this in place, because that is how they're making their money back. So even if everything else is a bit fuzzy, but they think there's a gem hidden in there somewhere, they have to know this. Distribution, is it retail? Is it digital? Is it browser-based? And also, what's interesting for you guys, for instance, maybe for you also, that is, maybe that person buying it is not the person who's going to use it. It's very interesting. In advertising, there's this very interesting time of year around where you have the confirmation, around this May, isn't it? And they have a lot of ads for consumer products and bank products for young people in magazines for old people, because grandmothers will buy these products or bank products or whatever for the youngsters.
So that's the key decision for education games. Are you selling to the parents, to the kids, to the schools? That's very different models.
Very different, and you have to really think about that. Who are you selling? It's look at, for example, Dragonbox. They're selling to parents. Look at then look at some other things that other parts where they sell to schools. See where the difference is, okay? And the revenue, and that also will have an effect on how the app is made. But most of all, it has to do with revenue. And all the pricing, of course, these things tie into each other. But you probably, if you're making a game or an app for kindergarten, you probably don't want that. That's just going to give you a hell of a lot of trouble. Every time they tell the mommy gets billed, you don't want that. But there has to be something, right? There has to be some way of telling children that not spending all your money right away is a good thing, unless you're investing. So venture capital is similar. In-game ads, probably also a no-no. Free, you want it free? It's not going to give you a whole lot of money back. Limited amount of investors, but maybe that's maybe that's all you can do. That's sometimes you can't. Like that figure we had in the first part of this class, where there's business, is it viable? Maybe that's outside here. You only have technology and desirability, but there's no viability. You can't get anyone to pay for this because you can't have full price retail. You can't have micropayments. You can't have in-game ads. And you can't do it for free, right? If that's the case, then you have to do something. Push it down. You have to do something, right? Think about that, because that's part of innovation. What's your budget? How much money do you need to, to make it, and how many units to break even? How much you put in And then people can, the reason why I put that up is very easy then for a publisher to say, or for you even, to say, this is a comparable product, it sold this many units, so we have a conservative estimate that we make 50% of what, or sell 50% as many units, and as you can see, that's all we need to break even. Then you've convinced a lot of skeptical investors already there, because you have a comparable product, you've shown that you've done your homework, how much money did they make, how much money do you need to make this, and okay, what's the risk, and they can do that evaluation. They can see your product, what's different between your product and their product. Is it just like, it's a matter of taste, or is it your product is definitely superior? What's the buying power of this, group? Are they going to be, the moment something is better is out, they're going to buy it, but they want the best, only the best, or is it like, oh no, we already bought the really crappy one, and we won't have money to buy the really good one that you just made until next year? All these things have to be factored in. And can it sell other products? For instance, Pokemon. It's a great game, and it's a great IP, because it can sell figurines, it can sell movies, it can sell dolls, it can sell pretty much anything. My daughter will buy anything if there's a Pokemon. Get the Pokemon out! So and if you're willing to sort of put that IP into the pot and say, if you fund it, you'll get it, and you can use that to sell and brand and do whatever you want. Within reason, maybe. Depends how much pull you have. But that's a huge carrot for a lot of investors. And then it's the team. And the important thing here is convincing them that you can make it. Look at us. We can make this happen. Right? You have to introduce a key personnel, which is typically who has the idea, who's the producer. If you have roles, you may not have. If you're following Scrum, you may not have it. But it's often good to sort of fake it in front of just saying, here is that person who is the lead programmer, do the programming. Here is, but at least, who's the creative director, who's the producer, who's the lead programmer, and any other experienced staff that you have. Oh, this guy has done Android stuff before, so of course we can put it on the Android tablet as well. Huge relief for anybody who comes with the money, removes risk, right? So the big summary is genre, gameplay, technology, audience, style, sales, and team. You have to go, until next time we meet, and find out which of these are most important for you, and figure it out depending on your concept, which is and may or may not be 100% game, and say, okay, here's the pitch. Here is what we're going to communicate. And let's see now, fast forward here. Yes, so that we have for our friends at Innovation Norway, when they come, a 10-minute presentation answering those 7 questions in whatever form you shape them into, using concept art, other visual aids, and try to have everyone participate. Everyone in the team sort of come in and pitch in and do something that will convince the people at Innovation Norway, this sounds good. We want to put money into this. And I would say, I mean, this is just just for, education, it's just for show, right? Or is it? If this is a product, and if they come up to you afterwards and say, we really like that idea, we want you to really make it. Are you going to really make it? Why not? Do it. Go into it as if it was real. And it can be real. And if it is real, then you have a product, which is probably at least as interesting as anything else you could make.